I'm back with another contrarian video topic. For years, we've been told the same thing. Don't take Social Security at 62. It's a mistake. You should always wait. And of course, waiting means you're going to get a higher benefit. Makes sense on the surface. But what if that advice is wrong for a lot of people? I believe that it is. Today, I'm going to break down why 62 can actually be the best time to begin collecting Social Security. And of course, it depends on your situation and why blindly waiting based on the advice of others could cost you thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars over your lifetime. This isn't about rules of thumb. It's about real math, real life, and real retirement decisions. Those are your decisions, your life. I'm certainly not saying that taking benefits at 62 is always the right choice. We know that isn't true. Only that for some people, under certain circumstances, yes, it's the right choice. And that's what I'm going to talk about in this video. So let's start with the myth of always waiting to get the highest benefit. The biggest myth in retirement planning is delaying Social Security is always a smart move. I'm going to say yes, usually it is. I delayed myself, not quite to full retirement age. Circumstances forced me to take it 4 months early. I was very disappointed about that, but close enough. So thinking about what you're going to be giving up if you take it early. Your monthly benefit will be lower if you begin collecting at 62. Let's say you have a $3,000 monthly benefit at age 67. If you collect at 62, it'll be reduced by 30%, dropping it down to $2,100. A $4,000 monthly benefit that you would collect at age 70 will be dropped even more, I think around 75%. That sounds a little bit extreme. Well, yeah, about 45%, let's say. It'll drop from $4,000 to $2,260 when you collect at age 62. Again, that's about roughly a 55% drop. It's clear that strictly from a financial standpoint, the longer you can delay collecting benefits up to age 70, the higher your benefit will be. This is an important point to get out of the way right away. That said, there's no point in delaying collecting benefits past 70 because that's when your benefit will peak out. Social Security does not give you a higher benefit for delaying past 70. So that's the absolute drop dead date to begin collecting. The question here is it worth it to collect early? And I think in a lot of cases it is. On the surface, yes, waiting makes abundant sense, especially if you have the financial resources to wait it out. But if financial resources are slim, you have to look at things a different way. We always have to do that in life, not just in retirement. The problem is that not everything in life comes down to finances. And up to this point, what we've been talking about really is strictly finances. When are you going to get the highest benefit? Obviously, that's going to come from waiting, but what if you can't? And what if maybe there are some non-financial decisions that are going to affect where you're going to go with this? It can't be strictly financial in the way an accountant measures finances. There are non-financial reasons why you might decide that collecting at 62 is the better choice for you, as well as some reasons that are only partially related to money. Again, that's what I'm going to talk about in this video. So first point, the longevity risk. Here we're going to talk about the break-even point. There are a lot of discussions on Social Security and when to take it that revolve around the break-even point. And this is important, though it shouldn't be the absolute guiding principle. One of the variables with Social Security is how long you'll actually collect benefits. Truth be told, there's no way to know this with any degree of certainty because none of us know how long we're going to live. If you knew you were only going to live to be 72, you absolutely would collect benefits at 62. If you knew you're going to live to be 95, you absolutely would wait until 70. But we don't have that certainty. You can use family longevity as a starting point, but that's a very loose goal. I've known people who had parents who lived into their 90s and they didn't make it to 80. So again, starting point only. You also need to consider more personal factors like your own personal health. That can include considering if you have any significant health conditions, any heart conditions, diabetes, major medical events like a heart attack or a bout with cancer in your past. That said, I have a friend who had a heart attack in his 60s, and he is now going strong at 90, and I mean strong. So don't always assume that because you have a health condition that your life's going to end early. But it is still important to make an educated guess to the degree that you can, but realize there's only so far you can go with that. Social Security is, to a large degree, at least the numbers, a break-even decision. It's not a guaranteed win for delaying benefits because we really can't even project it. If you plan to delay collecting benefits until 67 or 70, you'll need to be reasonably sure that you have an above average chance of living past 80, because that's about where the break-even point hits. The longer you wait past that age, the more the benefit delay tilts in your favor. So consider the following. I'm going to throw out some numbers here. You might want to jot them down because I started this channel only a few weeks ago. I'm not sophisticated enough to show things up on the video. I'm going to learn that, I promise. The average life expectancy in the U.S. is around 76.5 for men and 81.4 for women. That information comes from the Scientific American, and I've got a link to that in the description below. You can check it out. According to AARP, again, link in the description, if you take benefits at 62 rather than at 67, the break-even point is 11 years and 8 months past age 67, or 78.8 years old. The break-even point for taking benefits at 62 versus 70 is 10 years and 4 months past age 70. That means 80.4 years. Some models have shown that the break-even point on delaying to 70 is 84 or above. I've seen them all. The more complicated calculations seem to produce a longer life or a longer break-even point. What this means, in effect, based on average lifespans and the break-even point, half of retirees will not reach the break-even point. You got to kind of play the guessing game as to whether or not you think you're going to make that point. But you can never know with any certainty. Health, genetics, and lifestyle matter a lot more than optimism. Everybody wants to live into their 90s, but reality is statistically, most of us won't. So use the break-even figure only as a starting point. More than anything, it's a statistical reference that ignores lifestyle choices and personal preferences. So let's discuss the reasons why you might need or want to collect benefits at 62, and they're all legitimate. Let's start with the most obvious, late-stage unemployment. And I know what this is. It happened to me twice. The advice to delay collecting Social Security benefits as long as possible is largely based on perfect world assumptions. One of those assumptions is that you'll be employed, even well employed, right up to age 67 or 70. I think we all know in the world we're living in, that's becoming increasingly difficult. As a lot of people over 50 have found out to their own disappointment, that's just not the way things work. Older workers are the ones that get lopped off first in a layoff or a merger. So it sounds like a nightmare story, but you could lose your job at 59 or 62 or whatever. You may never work until 67 or 70. Compounding the problem is that becoming unemployed late in life is a much bigger obstacle than when it happens early in life. If you lose your job at 35, you'll probably find a new one within 2 or 3 months. Might even pay more than what you were getting. Lose your job at 59 or 62 or anything around that age, and it could very well be the end of your career. I often say that when you're older, over 50, the loss of a job can mean the end of a career. You may continue to be employed, but in a different occupation and at a much lower income level. If that's the case, collecting Social Security at 62 can be a financial lifesaver, and you have to consider it. The combination of your Social Security benefit and even a low-wage job could very well keep you from financial ruin. Fortunately, the Social Security Administration does allow you to collect benefits even if you are earning income. For 2026, again, the link to this reference is in the description below, you can earn up to $24,480 from a job or a business without losing your benefits. If you earn more, you'll lose $1 in benefits for every $2 in income above the threshold. Now, important, this is just earned income. Your benefit won't be reduced for unearned sources like investment income, interest or dividends, capital gains, retirement plan withdrawals, or pensions. So keep that in mind. Reason number 2 is probably even better than losing a job, your health. This is another variable that cannot be ignored in this decision. If you're approaching 62 and you already have one or more serious health conditions that is either likely to shorten your life or make continuing to work difficult or impossible, collecting benefits early is a much easier decision. But if you do have health conditions, make sure you seriously evaluate the likely outcome. And I'm saying that realizing there's no way to do that with any level of certainty. Part of it is advances in medical technology has people with health problems that once killed them in just a few years, now living for decades. Another point to think about here is that as medical technology continues to advance, cures that don't currently exist now may develop to treat your specific health condition in the next few years, changing the whole outcome. So consider that. Another important reason to consider collecting early would be to avoid tapping your retirement savings. The biggest concern that retirees have, older people in general, is outliving their savings, and it makes sense. So let's say you lose your job, and though you have a significant amount of retirement savings, you don't want to begin taking withdrawals this early in your retirement. Collecting Social Security at 62 could avoid the need to make those withdrawals. The longer you can avoid making retirement plan withdrawals, the longer your savings will last, and the more time the plan will have to build up additional value. In a real way, collecting Social Security benefits at 62 can help your retirement savings strategy in several ways. First, it can reduce or eliminate withdrawals from your investments. Obviously, you prefer to do that later in life. The advice I've heard on that is, if you can, avoid taking retirement plan withdrawals until the required minimum distributions, or RMDs, kick in, which is usually in the 70s or for most people. Number two, collecting benefits at 62 might enable you to avoid taking withdrawals for several years, making it less likely that you'll outlive your money. Avoiding those withdrawals for even 3 years could make a difference. Number three, this is very important, it can lower sequence of return risk. That's the risk that there could be a major decline in the financial markets shortly after you retire. You should do some research on sequence of returns risk. This is a real concern. And if you're a person with bad timing, you can bet that there's going to be a major reversal in the financial markets, maybe within days of your retirement. But the Social Security benefit at 62 can mitigate against that. And number four, Social Security benefits can allow you to temporarily suspend retirement plan withdrawals while the market recovers. That's important because if you're taking withdrawals while the market's declining, you're selling off assets and locking in the losses on those assets. Social Security can enable you to avoid taking those withdrawals and keep your money invested for future growth. For some retirees, taking Social Security early acts like a retirement savings insurance policy by protecting your portfolio when it's most vulnerable. That's an important point. It's another reason I think doesn't get enough coverage in the discussion of when to take Social Security benefits. Personal preferences and lifestyle choices. Not everyone plans to retire rich. I think probably most people don't. They wish for it, sure. That's why people buy lottery tickets. But some people just want to exit the rat race and find peace and contentment in life. You might be able to build an intentional strategy around collecting your benefit at 62. A few minutes ago, I said that Social Security will allow you to collect your benefit and still earn up to $24,480 per year through some form of employment. Now, as an example, let's say that you have money set aside in retirement savings, whether it's a 401k or an IRA, really doesn't matter. Withdrawals from that account could represent an additional source of income. You may find that a combination of Social Security benefits, earnings from a low-wage job, and some investment income will provide you with a comfortable lifestyle in retirement. In other words, no grand plans here. You're not looking to make six figures. You're just making enough to be comfortable so that you can enjoy living life on your terms. So let's assume, again, working in an example, you're going to collect Social Security at 62, and it would have been $2,900 if you waited till 67, but it's going to be $2,000 at 62. $2,000 is still $2,000, and it's a start. You can also find a low-wage job or maybe a part-time job, or you start a side business that allows you to earn an additional $2,000 per month. That'd keep you just below the earned income threshold to continue receiving benefits from Social Security. Meanwhile, you have $300,000 sitting in an IRA that enables you to withdraw $1,000 per month. Combine those three income sources. That'll provide you with an income of $5,000 per month. If you can live comfortably on that income, you'll be all set to retire at age 62. And I think that's a preference. If you want to go out early and you're not looking for to make a fortune in retirement or to, live the lifestyles of the retired rich and famous, this could be an intentional strategy, and don't overlook it. So far, I've been talking about collecting benefits at 62 as a retirement strategy, but let's shift over to talking about real world risks that no one likes to talk about. Waiting until 67 or 70 assumes that you'll be in perfect health for a very long time. And once you get past 60, that is not a guarantee. It also assumes stable financial markets. Your retirement accounts are going to continue growing and generating income for the foreseeable future. If you look at what's happened over the last 25 years, you know that that's a myth. It also assumes that there'll be no policy changes to the Social Security program. With all the concerns about Social Security, or the trust fund anyway, going broke, there's going to be some changes coming about. I already did a video where I said the going broke thing is a myth for various reasons, but there are likely to be policy changes in response to that. I have no idea what they're going to be, cutting taxes, lowering benefits, whatever that might be. You get in early, you're grandfathered. And then finally, there are no major expenses that are unexpected. Major illness, some natural disaster that isn't covered by insurance, whatever the case may be. All those things are assumed to not happen during this time when you're delaying. Real life doesn't work that way. At this age, we all know it. Collecting benefits earlier reduces the risk of dying before you collect much at all, or even maybe any of it. The ultimate irony would be delaying to age 70 and then dying at age 69. You'll never collect a nickel, even though you all paid into it all your life, right up to age 69. Somebody else will collect your benefit. Also being forced to claim benefits during a market crash. That healthy 90-year-old, that old friend always said, if you're going to make a move, make it on your own terms and don't wait for circumstances to make it for you. I'm a big advocate of that. I think make a decision on something as important as when to collect benefits when you're in control of the circumstances. Don't wait for some disaster to come about that's going to force your hand. And then, of course, finally, losing benefits to future rule changes. You never know what's going to happen if you delay by 5 to 8 years. There could be some tweaking alone that results in a lower benefit than you anticipated, where if you grab the benefit now, you're grandfathered. Collecting Social Security at 62 really is one of those bird in the hand situations as a concept. By collecting early, you eliminate a host of uncertainties. To summarize, let's review briefly when collecting Social Security at 62 makes the most sense. It can be a strong choice if you're in average or declining health. That's obvious. You've lost your lifetime occupation and future prospects look bleak to maybe non-existent. You're single, or you're the lower income earning spouse. That's a whole other topic. I could do a video on that, so I'm not going to go into detail here. But if you haven't worked and you're reliant on your spouse's Social Security benefit, it might be worth it to take your benefit early just to get some money coming in. Another time is when you need income to protect your investments. We've discussed that in some detail, so they'll last for the rest of your life. Collecting Social Security early can be a real insurance policy against market declines. And then finally, you want flexibility and peace of mind that retirement brings, and you've got the ability to make it happen, even though you're collecting benefits early. This isn't about maximizing your check. It's about maximizing your life, and that's always worth serious considerations. Waiting to collect Social Security can be smart for some people, but for many retirees, 62 is not a mistake. It can be a strategic, rational, and financially sound decision. The best claiming age isn't about pride or about rules. It's about your health, your finances, your preferences, and your priorities. If this helped you rethink when to take Social Security, hit the like button below and subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone else who's wrestling with the same decision. Let me know in the comments, are you planning to claim Social Security benefits early, late, or somewhere in between? And thank you for watching.